Welcome to episode 1 of the History of Rock podcast. I am Brandon Coates. His name is Shim Moore, former lead singer of Sixx Puppies, now solo man, doing the rock and roll thing. How you doing, Shim?
How you feel?
You know, I'm not quite sure how I'm feeling about this, because with as much as I have planned this out in my brain and as much as I've thought about this,
too much planning.
I've overthought it,
planning.
and it's to the point now where, as we were getting ready to record this today, I'm like, you know what? Just do it. Just film the damn thing and find out what happens, because this is something that we've had in the works for a while. If you're familiar with Rockstar 101, that's the podcast Shim and I used to do, and all episodes still available over on Spotify for you. And if you're not familiar with Rockstar 101, essentially, Shim and I would talk about rock and roll things, and then towards the end, we were focusing on specific years, and then we were focusing on specific albums, and that's what we're going to tackle here with the history of rock. And we're starting things off with the album. If you're watching this on the video, you can see right above my right shoulder, Mother Love Bone's Apple. And I know what you're thinking.
Why did you pick this one? Why did you pick this one?
I know what a lot of people are thinking, like, rock and roll didn't start in 1990 with Mother Love Bone. It didn't start with the grunge movement. I don't know why there's a southern accent in there, but I chose Mother Love Bone's Apple because this was really at the forefront of the grunge movement, something that has a special place in my heart and Shim's heart, because that was the music we really grew up on. Obviously, we still listen to stuff in the 80s, but grunge was, I think, really that first movement for both of us. And Mother Love Bone, they were considered the first band that was going to make it big. They were going to be huge, but unfortunately, the lead singer, Andrew Wood, passed away 3 months before the album was released. So unfortunately, Mother Love Bone never quite made it, but then the tie-in here is Mother Love Bone eventually led to Temple of the Dog. Temple of the Dog led to Pearl Jam. Well, Temple of the Dog didn't really lead to Pearl Jam. Like, they were already going to kind of do that thing. But, yeah, that's why we're starting with Mother Love Bone, is that this was kind of, it was released in 1990. And it was really, they were that first band that was going to make it big. It was June 19th, 1990, that the album was released.
So would you say that this was before the period of grunge mania started, when everyone was like, let's just go to Seattle and sign the first band on the corner?
Oh.
This was before that started.
Hands down. Down.
This is one of the records that started that trend.
It was, because,
Right.
and some of the stuff that we'll get into here, in this, is that there was one big compilation CD that was made in Seattle that, and actually a band called Malfunction was a part of, that was Andrew Wood's band before Mother Love Bone. But before we start diving into all of this stuff, make sure you check out our socials. You can always follow Shim on any of his socials. You just recently changed it actually to Shim Music, right?
Nah, the Hollywood, the Hollywood Rebellion, the Twitch stream was changed last week to twitch.tv/ShimMusic. Everything else is just Shim or Shim More, and you'll see the little blue tick. For the socials. So check them out.
And then you can find me Instagram or pretty much any of the other socials. You can find me at The Real Brandalorian. And you can also check out our Twitch channels if you want to see Shim playing music. I'm playing some video games and all that fun stuff. If you guys want
they'll be tagged in the description.
Yes, and we'll put all that stuff down there for you as well. But on that note, are you ready for this? Are you ready, Shim? This is episode 1.
I thought we'd started. Let's do it. His name is Brandon. He's the DJ.
His name is Shim. He's the rock star. Class is in session. And I know that there was people that were waiting for that, because I have had countless people who are big fans of Rockstar 101 reach out to me. They're like, we just miss you guys saying class is in session and class dismissed. Like, that's what we were looking forward to. So essentially, we're diving in here with Mother Love Bone. And one of the big things with Mother Love Bone that maybe not a lot of people knew is that Mother Love Bone eventually kind of became Pearl Jam, because you had Jeff Ament and Stone Gossard, who were both in Mother Love Bone. When Andrew Wood passed away, they didn't want to carry on with Mother Love Bone, so they ended up forming Pearl Jam. They'd actually had Eddie Vedder, they through some connections, who was from Southern California. And we're going to get to this in a future episode where we talk about Temple of the Dog, which kind of incorporates all of this stuff. But the way that we're going to break this down here on the History of Rock podcast is we're going to have some of the fan facts that kind of everybody should know. Like, these are the things that even if you're just a casual fan of grunge, or Mother Love Bone, or whatever, this is the stuff you absolutely need to know. And then we're going to do a deeper dive into the true fan facts and some of the stuff that you might not know. So on that note, are you ready to dive right into the fan facts that everybody should know? Well, then get your damn guitar. That's your cue.
Yeah,
That's your cue. See, this is what we're doing here. This is the first episode. We're kind of playing it by ear. Shim is going to do a little performing for us in every episode.
No, it's going to be, it's a jingle. And it's going to be in the vein of at least the genre of fan facts that everybody should know. Yeah.
We might have to work on that because I think it was cutting out on you a little bit. Yeah, whatever. All right, so anyway, fan facts everybody should know. There's number one. Mother Love Bone was supposed to be the first big grunge band to make it big. Lead singer Andrew Wood died 3 months before the album was released. The album released on June 19th, 1990. He passed away March 19th, 1990.
Such a shame, dude. I mean, do most people, do you think that it's common knowledge in the grunge scene that Pearl Jam was born from that type of tragedy? Or do people just go, Pearl Jam?
No, if you're talking to anybody who was in the scene at that time, they obviously know who Andrew Wood is and where Mother Love Bone was. And the interesting thing is there was a lot of songs that spawned from Andrew Wood's passing, and we can get to that here in a little bit as well. But one of the other fan facts that you obviously know is stuff we've already mentioned. Jeff Ament and Stone Gossard, they went on to form Pearl Jam. And we're going to get into this even more so because the previous bands of note from the members of Mother Love Bone, Green River. You constantly hear there's a lot of these bands that sort of spawned the grunge movement. Green River is one of those major acts that's kind of considered one of those bands that really started the grunge movement in Seattle, and Ament and Gossard were a part of Green River, whereas Andrew Wood, he was a part of a band called Malfunction. And we're going to get to more of Malfunction later because that was a quirky band. And he was a very quirky dude as well. Some of the people that Wood idolized, listen to how contrasting this is. Elton John, which kind of makes sense because if you've seen anything on Andrew Wood, there's documentaries and stuff on him out there. He's very flamboyant. Like, he was a born rock star is kind of what the people who knew him say that he was like. Like, you could tell he was born to perform. But when he was really young, he idolized Glenn Campbell.
Which one's Glenn Campbell again?
Country
so
singer.
Fucking lame.
And country singer. And coincidentally enough, my relative.
What?
I swear to God.
Everything?
Oh, no, no, look, it's not like he's like my uncle or anything. But there's a...
Why do you have to say it like that? It's not like he's my uncle or anything.
Well, because,
I mean, it's like... The way that you speak when you dive into your southern drawl, it's so authentic that it doesn't surprise me at all that you don't have several country music relatives. He's not like my uncle or nothing.
Well, I don't even know what the connection is, but we were somehow talking about Glenn Campbell, and I was talking about him with my dad, and he mentioned, he was like, you're related to him. I had no idea. And there's through some weird connection of the family and the family tree somewhere, Glenn Campbell exists in my family tree.
Okay.
Next fan fact here, we have Malfunction. Now, this is what I was talking about at the very beginning. We talked about this legendary demo tape. It was called Deep Six, and it's considered the first grunge demo. And it features the bands Green River, the Melvins, Soundgarden, Skin Yard, and the U-Men. These were the first real big six bands that were on this. Are you going to perform again?
No, I was just thinking I was just pulling. I was only each time that you say 5, 6. Maybe, I can't think of what. But does it sound okay when I play through right now, or is it glitching out?
It sounds a little glitchy.
Yeah. So let's save it for that. But I was just thinking about Glenn Campbell. Just trying to think of something. Glenn Campbell is not my uncle, no, but I'm related in some way. Can't think of the next lyric of the song, but that's just something that I needed to say.
Yeah! And this is what you're going to get from the history of rock. Shim is just going to be kind of jamming every now and then.
We'll do it. I think we'll move it over to Zoom on the next one so you can hear the beautiful textures of the random shit that I'll be coming up with. But I didn't listen to any of these bands except for the Melvins. I knew the Melvins in Australia as the band. This is the thing. Mother Love Bone didn't make it to Australia. The Melvins, as far as anyone that listened to Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, Nirvana, the whole scene, the Melvins were the first ones. Mm-hmm. That was where it started, if you had your understanding in Australia. So what was the Melvins to this whole scene?
They were one of the forefathers, really.
So they were one of the forefathers.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's
Okay, cool.
and trust me, we're going to get into this even more so because at some point we're going to be covering the Melvins here on the history of rock and their connection with these other bands. And it's interesting because as I'm watching a lot of documentaries, there's one specifically about the grunge movement. It's called Hype.
I've heard of that.
And you can check it out on YouTube. There's even a portion of the history of rock where we get to the end. I'm going to give you continued education. So if you want to go learn more about what we're talking about, you can go watch these documentaries or anything that you can find maybe on YouTube. And it's funny because there's a lot of people up in Seattle that were a part of the scene back then, and they hate the word grunge. Like, they hate it with a passion. And
what do they call it?
I don't even know. Well, because the interesting thing when it comes to the grunge movement is it's not necessarily a sound. Like, when you think of a genre of music, it's because it has a similar sound. But if you were to compare, and granted, grunge kind of came from very similar sounds. I think like Black Flag is another band that gets mentioned as an influence on the bands that kind of were the forefront.
Yeah, but Black
grunge.
Flag was punk, right?
Yeah, but that's but that's kind of the style that they were. I don't want to say mimicking, but the style that they were going with at very early on. But when you think about grunge, it was more of the lifestyle in the sense of, hey, we have the shaved up on the sides and the back and the hair coming down, which I had that haircut, by the way. You got your flannels, which I had flannels, by the way. But if you were to compare the actual sounds of the music between, let's say, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, the big four, Soundgarden,
absolutely.
Alice in Chains, Nirvana, and Pearl Jam, they're not that. It's not the same.
They're not
thing.
similar at all. No, not at all.
So,
No.
But we'll cover a lot more of that here coming up in future
You're
episodes.
right. I keep
of the History of Rock.
distracting you. Let's go to
No,
number 5.
I want the distractions. Otherwise, it's just me reading these stupid ass notes, and that's not
I know what I
people
was thinking.
want.
Yeah, I was just trying to find something to do.
Thank you.
But so then I always think, so what's the difference between grunge and alternative rock or alt rock from the 90s? Because I always thought grunge was like noisy, grungy, fucking like really simple songs with a cool sound. And then you had bands that were more like Smashing Pumpkins after their first couple of records. They got to more sort of they had string sections and all that shit. And then and also you moved into more not guitar driven heavy stuff, but it was still very much not pop music like Björk and fucking Fatboy Slim and all that sort of stuff. And that was more dance oriented or whatever, but it was always called alternative. You know what I mean?
No, I know exactly what you mean, because that was the way that the radio stations in Portland, where I grew up, that's how they were targeted. You had you had Rock 101 KUFO, and that was the rock station. That's where you would hear more of just the heavy rock. But then you had 94.7 NRK, which was the new rock alternative. And it's something even to this day, for being in radio for 20 plus years and trying to figure all this crap out, I still can't even quite figure it out.
Yeah,
when
I've
it
been
comes
in
to the
bands for a long
differences
time,
between
too.
grunge and alternative. And then I remember there was this great campaign that NRK had with their bumper stickers where it said, if it's so popular, can it really be called alternative anymore?
Yeah.
And I thought that was
kind of what I'm thinking.
But then also on the side, side note to that, it's like, okay, so they've sold out. Then is that what we're getting at? Is that they've sold out to the sense that
No,
it's now
just
popular?
alternative. Alternative is the opposite, or it's not. It's the alternative to mainstream. It's like there's highways and back roads. So like once you get back on the highway, you're on the highway. Like once you're in the deep traffic area, but if you're on the alternate route, you're on the alternate route. They can't really coexist. I mean, that's a bit of a weird metaphor. But like, yeah, and that's the thing. I always considered grunge, and this would be great. Maybe this is a good little clip for the first little thumbnail thing, but I always considered grunge to be anything that had heavy guitars and drums in it that wasn't hair metal for a couple of years. That was grunge. If it had big fucking guitars and drums, but it wasn't hair metal, it was grunge.
Well, have you heard the story about that's going out now between Eddie Vedder and Nikki Sixx?
No. What?
Oh yeah, they're having a little spat fest because Eddie Vedder said Eddie
I'll
Vedder
take my
said,
eyes, but not the argument.
Eddie Vedder said that he wasn't a fan of like girls and Motley Crue. So then Nikki Sixx came out and said that Pearl Jam is the most boring band ever. Yeah.
Wow. Ever? Come on, there are
Okay, I don't know about
bands that are
ever,
more
but hold
boring than
on.
that.
Let me double check and let me just make sure on this one. But real quick here too. Back to our fan facts that everybody should know. The name
I was going to say, why don't I read one of these while you look it up?
Read number 6 there.
Yeah, I was going to say that apparently the name Mother Love Bone doesn't really mean anything, as opposed to Sick Puppies, which has a deep philosophical core. Please read into it like your mother loves bones. But
no,
people would read into it like your mother loves bones. But Wood said he just liked the name and considered it more like a mothership. I never really, it's funny, isn't it? You think about these names like Pearl Jam, Nirvana, perfect band name. I remember that every once in a while there are band names that make you go, fuck, I wish I'd thought of that.
Yeah.
You know, but when you like Soundgarden was one of those ones where I was like, I wish I'd come up with it. I had so many different gardens when I was trying to come up with band names at the beginning. I just millions of like something like Sonic Garden or something else, something audio garden.
So you could be Sonic Youth and Soundgarden all in one.
Yeah,
huh?
Exactly. You take every fucking band name and smash it together, trying to come up with something that sounded nearly as cool. But having a one-word band name that was as good as Nirvana or something like that was awesome. And but you never think about it. Smashing Pumpkins was the perfect example. I remember the first time that I heard there was someone in school that was like, no, Smashing Pumpkins is the greatest band in the world. They're my favorite band, Smashing Pumpkins. I'm like, it's the dumbest fucking band name in the history of dumb band names, next to Foo Fighters. And even they will tell you that they've said it in interviews. We couldn't think of anything. We just didn't think it wasn't a big deal at the time, and now we're stuck with it. Same with Sick Puppies. I always kind of thought we'd change that. But like, because it's like a punk, but it's one of those things where when you're starting a band, you're thinking 2 years ahead max. You're thinking to the next record. You're not thinking 20 years in advance, where when you're Foo Fighters and Smashing Pumpkins, you have a legacy like that. But after a while, you just get past it. It's like Nike. It's like Coke. You don't even think about it anymore. Yeah, Nike or Nike or whatever. When you say like Nike, you go, what the fuck does that even mean? Where does it come from?
Wait a minute, did you not know how to say Nike?
No, in Australia, they say Nike or Nike.
No way.
Yeah.
I'm calling bullcrap on that. I gotta find another friend from Australia.
Okay, check this shit out. You want to hear something crazy? When I was growing up, one of the things that used to, we're getting off track as fuck.
It's fine. Fine. Keep going, baby.
One of the things that used to separate kids in the schoolyard in Australia was how they would pronounce brands. For example, this is the one and this is why you can tell that I'm telling you the truth. There was Nike and Nike, and then the other one was Adidas. So you guys say Adidas, right?
Yeah, Adidas.
We used to say Adidas.
God, you guys
Everyone,
weird.
I'm telling you, dude, everyone in Australia, for the whole time I was growing up, we all said Adidas. It was said like that on commercials, I think. Adidas sneakers. You never said Adidas. Over years and years and years of us slowly, American culture filtering over to Australia more and more, it became a thing where neither one was mispronouncing it. It was just like whenever you started to learn that Adidas was a brand or Adidas was a brand, you'd say one or the other. So if you were in school 25 years ago, you were saying Adidas, and if you were in school 10 years ago, you say Adidas. And then there was there's Puma versus Puma. Have you heard this? What do you guys? God. Do you say Puma? Do you say Puma or Puma?
Puma.
Yeah, we say Puma. Because in the English language, the Americans, you say tuna instead of tuna, and we say Puma instead of Puma. I'm telling you, dude, this stuff is real. You guys don't think about it because when you come over to Australia, you'll hear us say something like tomato instead of tomato. And you'll go, oh, isn't that a cute little...
I say tomato, you say potato.
And they should do a version.
I say potato, tomato,
they should have
tomato.
A version of that song. We get the fucking
call
joke.
The whole thing off. Sorry.
They should do a version of that song where it's Puma and Adidas and Adidas.
Nike.
Yeah, you say Adidas. I say Adidas. What does it matter? They're all fucking sneakers.
I got to tell you, so we've had this podcast in the works for a while now. It's creeping up on a year, actually. And I have stressed so much about what we're going to do and what we're going to talk about and everything else, making sure everything is going to be in line. And I got to tell you, that little bit right there, that's so far been my favorite part of this episode, is that you explaining that down in Australia, you would say Nike and what was it, Adidas?
Adidas or Adidas?
Adidas.
We don't. Oh, but yeah, you got to say it. It's got a r. It's got a roll off the tongue. Adidas.
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 It's not Adidas. It's Adidas.
Adidas. Adidas.
In your ass.
I'm saying
Adidas.
I'm saying it. Get it. Okay. Really quick here. So, one more fan fact here that we need to know. I know it's going to get kind of dark here because we are talking about Mother Love Bone, not sneakers, by the way. And what happened with Mother Love Bone, and like we've said in the podcast, Andrew did pass away 3 months before their album dropped. He was just 24 years old when he passed away.
Crazy.
Didn't even make it to the 27 club, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
He was just 24. And there's some even crazier stuff that has to do with what happened with his hospital stay at the very end. But we're going to get to that here in a minute. But I do want to do a quick sidetrack because I have the quotes here from Vedder and Nikki Sixx. So Vedder was doing an interview, and Vedder described working at a club in San Diego during the late 80s where he'd load in bands' gear. He said, quote, I'd end up being at shows that I wouldn't have chosen to go to, bands that monopolized late 80s MTV, the metal bands that, I'm trying to be nice, I despised. Girls, 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 and Motley Crue. Fuck you. I hated it. I hated how it made the fellas look. I hated how it made the women look. I like how he says, I'm trying to be nice, and then he gets right into the whole, fuck you, I hated it.
Yeah.
So Nikki Sixx responded in a tweet, and he said, made me laugh today reading how much the singer in Pearl Jam, he wouldn't even say Eddie Vedder, he just calls him the singer in Pearl Jam, hated Motley Crue. Now considering that they're one of the most boring bands in history, it's kind of a compliment, isn't it? I got to tell you,
Nikki.
Pearl Jam fans are a breed unto themselves, man. And when we get to a Pearl Jam album, that's one where maybe we need to bring a guest on or figure something out because I'm telling you, like Pearl Jam, their fan base is a very, very dedicated fan base. But anyway.
And I don't think that Motley Crue's fan base is going to be quite as dedicated. They're going to be You're going to be like, you said what about Eddie Vedder? We're going to get your address. We're going to come to your house. We're going to shave that fucking hair off your head. And then when fucking Motley Crue's fans are going to be like, you said what about who? I was drunk. I can't remember. Wait, what? It's all good. Let's have another one. No one gives a fuck.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, so now get your guitar because now we're going to start to dive deep.
All right, hold on
here.
a second. I was going to say, hold on. Let me just check on one thing. Because, all right, cool. Are we going to do a two-parter or are we going to smash this out?
Let's find out how it goes, man.
All right. So hold on a second. Let me check this out.
So we're toying with the idea of calling these the true fan facts, unless Shim can come up with something better here.
I can't come up with anything better than true fun facts. The facts that are true. They're things about me and you. Not really. They're about somebody in a band from a long time ago. Is it false? Is it true? Well, that's not up to you, because Brandon already looked it up. He knows it. He looked it up for a fucking year. He looked it up for a year, and he's been doing a lot of time and energy on these true fun facts. There's a few of them, and you're going to have to sit through each one, and that's where the entertainment stops. Now it's back to history lessons.
Oh, that was beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful. I need to have an applause track ready to go. And we're going to have to figure something else out because it's the sound isn't coming through. I mean, you can still hear it.
We'll do it. We got to do it through Zoom.
All right. We'll change that up for the next episode.
Yeah.
Anyway, so here we go. So the true fan facts, we're going to dive in here. This is some of the deeper cuts, if you will, for Andrew Wood and Mother Love Bone. And like I had mentioned before, where he was big in the scene. Like, everybody knew who Mother Love Bone was. And at one point, he was actually roommates with Soundgarden lead singer Chris Cornell.
That would be so cool. That would be so cool.
And then that leads into...
That's all I've got to say.
And then that leads into... What?
Okay, that's the end of it. Go. Temple of the Dog.
I was going to say that leads into the next fact. Is that Temple of the Dog, it actually began as a tribute to Wood. So Cornell had reached out to Ament and Gossard about recording a couple of songs. It obviously became more of that. And then tease, next episode of History of Rock, we're going to be talking about Temple of the Dog.
Did you want to say Rockstar 101 just then?
I was so
did you
close.
Stop yourself?
I was so
me
close.
too.
Oh.
I was hearing it in my head.
I was so close. Man,
By the way, so for everyone who's listening, this is our first podcast back after nearly a year, and also it's our first one figuring out the new format. So thank you very much for your time and your patience, and for hitting that like and subscribe button and notification right down there in advance. But yes, going back to it, Matt Cameron, Mike McCready, Eddie Vedder were brought in. And do you know how long it took him to record the whole album?
For Temple of
Was
the
it
Dog?
like pretty quick?
Well, I think that we're going to get to that in the next episode, because the next episode's
that's
all about Temple of the Dog, baby. It's
Yep.
all about Temple of the Dog. But yeah, I was
Right.
dangerously close to saying Rockstar 101 right there. I
So
had
we'll
that
get there.
happen, by the way, because like I had just mentioned the one radio station in Portland that was NRK. That's where I
Yeah.
interned when I first got into radio. My first
Right.
paying job was actually in Eugene, which is just south of Portland, and it was NRQ. And oh my God, I went and recorded an entire shift, and I said the call letters wrong almost every single break. I said NRK almost every single time.
Do you know the first time that I posted after I was no longer in the band? I did a post saying, "Hey guys, it's Shim from Sick Puppies, da 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 da," and then I posted it, and then a bunch of people wrote in the comments like, "Are you still?" And I was like,
Oh, instead of
fuck,
like
that's
formerly?
right." Yeah, I just didn't think about it. I was like, "Yo, it's Shim from Sick Puppies," and it's like one of my first posts after the band split. It was Force of Habit, and people wrote in there were like, "Yeah, but you're not anymore. Just FYI, maybe you shouldn't do that next time." My heart was broken.
Well, remember, because there was a time where you even said, when I would introduce you on my live stream or something, when we were playing some games, which, by the way, you want to tune in Tuesday night,
Yeah.
6 p.m. Mountain Time, where Shim and I, we get to play some Halo or some Rocket League or something else like that, and it's hilarious. Playing video games with Shim is one of the greatest things I've been able to do in the past year.
Are you serious? Just because I suck that much, or because I get angry at myself for sucking that much?
I think it's a little bit of everything. I think it's the frustration that you're willing to
Show on camera?
Yeah, show very loudly sometimes. That's so not fair.
Dude, well, what else are you gonna do when you get your ass killed 35 times in the space of one game, and you're just gonna be like, "Yeah, that's what I
Oh
was
no,
expecting."
trust
Yeah,
me.
I'm
You
happy
can go.
with that.
You can go check out some of my live streams when we're playing, and man, I get just as frustrated sometimes as well. But anyway,
Yeah, it's bad.
Back to
anyway,
Mother Love Bone.
So yes.
So they got reunited, kind of. The band did April 14th, 2010, and Seattle musician by the name of Sean Smith. He served as the frontman for the night. Now, here's one where I'm going to have a question for you, Shim, because apparently Andrew Wood was obsessed with Tecmo Bowl, and he would play full seasons and keep the stats. Like, he would have been one of those guys that would be in love with Madden now, because he would keep the stats. He would keep a record, and he had this notebook, apparently, that had all of the information for Tecmo Bowl in it, and it was to the point where certain people in the band or in the crew had a designated team, and then they would have to play. And there were times where I guess he was playing himself just because he wanted the season to move along. And this is what they would kind of do on the road. There was, in one of the documentaries with him, he talks about wanting to tour Europe so that he can take the Nintendo and play Tecmo Bowl on the road in Europe. So when you're on the road and you're driving around, if there's just one thing, you only get one thing to keep you occupied throughout the rest of the tour, what's that one thing that you're taking?
If I had to choose?
Yeah,
If
you
I
only
had
get to pick
now?
Yeah, you only get to pick one thing. Yeah, right now.
Oh, well, if it's... I don't know now. Hey, I mean, it would definitely... I mean, unfortunately, the boring answer is it'd be the phone. Like, if I had to choose one thing, or does the phone kind of come with you anyway?
I think the phone kind of comes with you anyway. Like, that's a given.
So it'd be... Honestly, now,
Is it your deck of
I'd
cards
probably...
that you're shuffling right now?
Actually, you want to hear something funny? I woke up, I was at a friend's house the other day, and I just was sitting there in between like things that we had to do, and I put my phone down and I reached for the cards on his couch at another person's house. I'm not kidding. I was doing the phone thing. I was like, cool, that's done there. And then I just reached for the cards because that's what I do. And I'm like, fuck, I've got to get out more. This is weird. So, no, I'd probably take the Xbox now. I never used to take the Xbox on tour because I didn't play games until I started playing games with you more recently. I used to play them a lot when I was a kid. But what I used to do, dude, I just fucking binge watch TV. One of my favorite things to do is wait for I'm sure everyone does this. Like, I can't wait to watch the new season of Ozark, and I'm not watching it specifically because I want to etch out a whole day. And it's not gonna happen for a while. But like binge watching a whole 8 to 10 hours, like I remember the band waited a long time until Breaking Bad had finished season by season, and then we would binge watch the whole Breaking Bad season in a day or two. That's my favorite thing to do. But that's everyone's favorite thing to do. You know, we're simple creatures.
Well, I see. Okay, so here's where we're at. We're at 30 minutes. So, and I still have a ton on Mother Love Bone to get to. So we're gonna make this a two-parter, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
But what I will say about Ozark is I started watching the new season, and I don't know if it was maybe the mood. Like, do you ever have that where you start something and like maybe your mood you're in isn't quite conducive with what you're doing? And so it's like, really? Like, it might have been that. I'm not sure because I've loved Ozark up until this point. But for some strange reason, I haven't even gotten that far in. I'm not even through the first full episode. So I can't say too much about it, but it's like, ugh. But then again, I'm also in the middle of watching the Book of Boba Fett, which the last couple episodes have been amazing, but also Boba Fett hasn't been in them. And then Peacemaker on HBO. Oh, my God. Peacemaker is brilliant. John Cena is effing hilarious. That dude is awesome. But anyway, so we're at the 30-minute mark.
Back to rock and roll.
I have a whole lot more to get to here on the history of rock. So we're going to wrap up this episode, and then we're going to work towards the next episode where it's going to be a two-part. And who knows, maybe all of these episodes, they become two-parters. I mean, who knows?
Maybe. I'm looking at your sheet here, and we're not even, we've got more than halfway to go. So, but I think it's good. So, thank you very much to everyone. We are going to be keeping these podcasts at a 30-minute cap each time because the feedback that we've gotten has been that 30 minutes is a nice little chunk of time where you can listen to it on the drive to or from work or in between tasks or whatever you guys are doing. So we're going to be keeping it nice and tight. That's what she said from now on, but she actually did no time. So we have a hard cap that we've just hit. So we're going to keep this going on. Next week, we're going to finish this off. Thank you in advance to everyone who hit the like and subscribe button. If you didn't do it, please hit it at the end of the episode right now because we're building this up and it helps out a lot. So much appreciated there. Did you have anything else before we sign off, Brandon? Keeping it nice and tight. That's what she said. No, she did. What?
Oh, my God. I forget what it's like to record with you, man. It's very intense. It's very intense, and I love it. I love every minute of it. But, no, I mean, you pretty much summed everything up. Really quickly, great. Make sure you go follow Shim over on Twitch. You can actually help him write music, which is awesome. It's Shim Music over on Twitch, correct? That's what you just changed it to?
That's it. We're going to be putting all the links in the description. So go down there and click on all those links if you want to follow any of our things that we're doing.
And you can also find me. You can find me over on social medias, on Twitch or Instagram. It's at The Real Brandalorian. But on that note, next episode, we're going to get to the deeper stuff here with Mother Love Bone's Apple. But on that note, I think we're just going to wrap it up. And I can now officially say this for the first time in almost a year. Class dismissed.